The Krell armada descended upon Earth like a plague of metal locusts, their ships blocking out the sun over every major ocean. Commander Vexithor stood on the bridge of the flagship, his crystalline eyes gleaming with satisfaction as he surveyed the blue planet below. 71% water coverage, his tactical officer reported, mandibles clicking with excitement. More than any world we've encountered in 17 systems. The harvest will be glorious. Vexthor had led water raids across the galaxy for 3 decades. His species, the Krell, hailed from a dying world where water had become more precious than antimatter. They had perfected the art of oceanic extraction. Descend, deploy the siphon arrays, drain what they needed, and depart before the indigenous species could mount a defense. Most planets fell within hours. Earth would be no different. The humans had been observed for months. They were a young species, barely capable of leaving their own atmosphere. Their weapons were primitive, their military scattered across artificial borders. They spent more time fighting each other than preparing for threats from above. The Krell had faced civilizations 10 times more advanced, and none had stopped them. The first siphon arrays deployed off the coast of what humans called the Pacific Ocean. Massive pylons, each the size of a skyscraper, plunged into the water and began their work. Within minutes, millions of gallons were being drawn up into the holding ships. Then the ships started exploding. "Report!" Vexthor roared as alarms shrieked across the bridge. "Unknown contacts, Commander." Small craft, hundreds of them, moving at impossible speeds through the water. On the view screen, Vexthor watched in disbelief as sleek vessels erupted from beneath the waves, launching projectiles that tore through Krell shields like they were paper. These weren't the clumsy surface ships they'd observed. These were submarines, predators designed specifically for underwater warfare. "They have a hidden fleet?" his tactical officer stammered. "Our intelligence showed nothing like this." What the Krell hadn't understood was that humans had been fighting in and under their oceans for centuries. They had refined submarine warfare into a lethal art form during their own self-destructive conflicts. Every major power on Earth maintained fleets of these underwater hunters, and now, faced with a common enemy, they had united. The USS Virginia emerged from the depths, its torpedo tubes unleashing a salvo that struck 3 siphon arrays simultaneously. The Russian Yasen-class submarines attacked from the west, while Chinese Type 095s coordinated strikes from the south. British Astute-class vessels prowled the depths like sharks, picking off Krell support ships with surgical precision. But it wasn't just the military submarines that joined the fight. Research vessels converted into weapons platforms began deploying experimental sonic weapons that liquefied Krell hull plating. Deep-sea mining equipment, repurposed overnight, became devastating close-range weapons. Even civilian maritime organizations contributed. Oceanographic drones retrofitted with explosives swarmed Krell positions like schools of piranhas. "They're coordinating," the tactical officer reported, his voice cracking with panic, "across their entire planet. Every faction, every nation, they're working together." Vexthor felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: fear. The Krell had assumed that humanity's fractured nature would be their weakness. Instead, it had hidden their true strength. These humans hadn't just lived near their oceans. They had conquered them, fought in them, and built entire doctrines of warfare around controlling them. The second wave of Krell ships moved to reinforce the failing harvest operation, but they never reached the surface. Humans had mined the approaches with thousands of autonomous torpedoes, creating kill zones that no ship could survive. Those that made it through the gauntlet found themselves facing something worse: combat divers, Navy SEALs, Russian Spetsnaz, British SBS, Chinese Marine Corps raiders, humanity's most elite warriors, equipped with explosive charges and magnetic mines, infiltrated the underwater sections of the siphon arrays. They moved through the hostile environment as naturally as the Krell moved through vacuum, planting charges, sabotaging systems, and disappearing into the murky depths before the aliens even knew they were there. Within 6 hours, half the Krell fleet was destroyed or crippled. The humans hadn't just defended their oceans, they had turned them into a killing field. Vexthor made the call to retreat, but even that proved costly. As the Armada attempted to withdraw, surface ships emerged, destroyers, frigates, and cruisers that had been waiting just over the horizon, their long-range missiles tracking every Krell vessel attempting to escape to orbit. The sky lit up with streaks of fire as human anti-ship missiles found their targets. In the command center of NORAD, Admiral Chen watched the last Krell ship limp into space, trailing debris and atmosphere. Around her, officers from a dozen nations worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of invasion. "Should we pursue?" a Russian general asked. Chen shook her head. "Let them go. Let them spread the word." Aboard the fleeing flagship, Vexthor stared at the casualty reports with trembling claws. 63 ships lost, thousands of Krell dead, 0 water harvested. It was the worst defeat in their history. "Commander," his communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission. From Earth." On the screen appeared a human in military dress, her face stern but composed. She spoke in clear, measured tones that the translation matrix rendered perfectly. "You came to our world seeking to take our most precious resource. What you failed to understand is that we didn't just evolve near the water. We evolved from it. Every human carries the ocean in their blood, in the salt of their tears, in the very chemistry of their being. You thought our oceans would be easy prey because we're young and divided." She leaned forward, her eyes hard as steel. "You forgot that Earth's deadliest predators don't hunt on land. They hunt in the deep. And we learned from them. Tell the rest of the galaxy, human waters are not for taking. They are defended by creatures who know every dark trench, every crushing depth, every way to kill in an environment that has been trying to kill us since we first drew breath." The transmission ended. Vexthor ordered the fleet to maximum speed, fleeing toward the edge of the system. Behind them, Earth's blue ocean sparkled in the sunlight, beautiful and serene and utterly untouchable. The Krell would update their star charts immediately. Next to Earth's coordinates, they would add a simple warning that would be heeded by water raiders across the galaxy. Hostile aquatic defenders. Avoid at all costs. Humanity had sent a message to the stars, written in burning ships and shattered dreams. Their oceans were not treasures to be plundered. They were fortresses, guarded by the most dangerous predators the water world had ever produced. And those predators were human.